Scripture reading. Well, as it's been pointed out this morning, it's almost over, isn't it? Just 2 days. 2 days. 2 days away, and all the negative TV ads will go away from your TV screen. Can somebody say amen? Amen. Are you as sick of those as I am? Yes. Yeah. I am. I'm sick of seeing all. I mean, it's amazing that we can survive with so much negativity in our life that's being played into our lives on TV and in social media each and every day. And it's nothing but negative. Negative this. So-and-so did that. So-and-so said this. So-and-so did that. But why do you think they go that route? I mean, there's all kinds of words, right? There's positive words, there's negative words, words of encouragement, words of discouragement, words of fear, words of hope. But why do you think they go so much into the negative? My theory is that they lower the bar on the other person. If they make them seem like such a scoundrel or such a bad person, it makes it a lot easier to vote for them, doesn't it? So, well, they're not as bad as so-and-so. They're bad, but they're not as bad as so-and-so. How many of you found yourself saying that during this election? They're bad, but they're not as bad as that one, right? Well, it doesn't give us much hope there, does it? But we seem to use negative words a lot, don't we? We talk to our family, we talk to our friends. How many of you ever had somebody tear you down with words? You ever? If you haven't, you're lucky. You're very lucky. You've never had anybody talk bad about you, at least to your face, right? That you know of, right? Yeah. But it's not a pleasant thing, is it? To have somebody talk about you. Words have power, don't they? Don't they? Words are a very powerful thing. They can be used to build somebody up. They can be used to tear somebody down. They can be used to encourage or discourage, right? We have to be very careful. And that's why I wanted to talk about words today, because with this election coming up, one thing's for sure, half the country's going to be unhappy come Wednesday morning. And half the country's going to be happy, or close to half of either one, right? Because somebody's going to get elected and somebody's not. That's just the way elections work. And if it's your person, you're ecstatic, and if it's not your person, then you're sad. But then it's going to start, right? You're going to go to work, or you're going to get on social media, you're going to see the neighbor. Maybe you and the neighbor have different signs in your front yard. I don't know. But words are going to be exchanged, right? Whether on social media or... And what I want to encourage you to do between now and then, and even after then, is to choose your words wisely. Is that to realize that words do have power. And the words that you speak into somebody's life can do a lot of damage. Pam gave a great illustration of that. You can't take that word back once it's spoken, can you? That in fact, that no matter how fast you are, you can't outrun a word once spoken. Right? It takes on a life of its own, and it carries on out there. Right? The Bible mentions or talks about words, or people's words, or the tongue, multiple times. Old Testament and New Testament. In Old Testament, Proverbs, it says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. That's in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, if you want to look it up. And that's a powerful statement, isn't it? But isn't it true? You can do a whole lot more damage with your mouth than you can with your fist. You can hurt people a whole lot worse with the words you use. And by the way, when the Bible says tongue, you can put the word in there, and it's the same thing. It basically means the same thing. When James in his in the passage that we read today, we go back and we put and the word is a fire in the war of righteousness, the word, life and death are in the power of the words that we speak. In other words, you can use those interchangeably through most of the Bible and get the same meaning. of what they're talking about. So when they're talking about the tongue, they're talking about the words that the tongue speaks. The tongue is a small part of the body, but it is a powerful part of the body, as it sets the course for the rest of the body, doesn't it? A lot of times the things that we say. And the things that we say come from where? From the heart. And if Christ lives in our heart, do the things that we say reflect that? And sometimes we get mad and we say things, right? That's our number one. I was just mad. I was mad when I said that. I didn't mean it. I was mad. I was angry. I was frustrated. Well, that may be true. That may be true. But it don't make it right, does it? You know, the Proverbs also tells us that reckless words pierce just like a sword. If you were swinging a sword, well, I didn't mean to cut off your ear, I was just mad. It's all right, right? No, it's not all right. It's not all right because words that we speak into people's lives have a tendency sometimes to even label them, don't they? Now, when we speak words into a young child's life, you know what you tell them they are, oftentimes is what they become. You say it enough times, they start to believe it. I remember I read a story this week about officers who responded to a child abuse report in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And when they knocked on the door, they were greeted by a 4-year-old who had a black eye and bruises. And they said, "What's your name, sweetheart?" And she said, "Idiot." Idiot's my name. How many times does that have to be spoken into somebody's life? To where they believe that to be true. Words have power, don't they? You know, those bruises will heal. That black eye will heal. How long will it take for that young lady to know that she's not an idiot? Words have power. And we need to realize that. And we say, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing. I can't believe somebody would do that. But we do the same thing. We get mad and we speak words of anger into somebody's life. We don't mean them. We're just mad. Right? Or we're in a fight. We're in an argument with our spouse and we say something we don't mean. We don't mean it. We're just mad. We're just angry. We're just frustrated. Is that really an excuse? Or is that something we're just telling ourselves so we feel better about what we've done? I think all of us, at some point in time, have said something we don't like. Once we said it, it came out of our mouth, we're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Am I the only one? Okay. And sometimes what I've learned through years of experience to put my foot in my mouth is that it's better not to respond immediately to folks when they urge you or when they say something that you find contrary. Sometimes it's better just to analyze what's been said, to take a deep breath, to step back, not respond in anger. Think about what you're about to say before you say it. It keeps you from having to spend the next week apologizing, right? Because are you responding with truth or are you responding out of emotion? And there's a difference there, right? And we all have our own perception of what the truth is, right? You say, well, the truth is what I believe. Well, that's true to you. It doesn't mean it's necessarily the truth. It's the truth as you see it through your glasses, through your life's perception. And it may be the truth, or it may just be your perception of the truth. And other people have a right to have their perception of what the truth is. And hopefully we can find out what the truth is. But other people do have an opinion, and they have a right to be wrong. Right? Doesn't mean you have to take their opinion. It doesn't mean you have to embrace their opinion. It doesn't mean you have to embrace their thought. But they have a right to their thought just as you have a right to your thought, correct? Is that correct? Do you agree on that? I saw a lot of things at seminary that I don't agree with. And I didn't embrace, and I didn't make them part of my belief system. I didn't make them part of my faith because I just didn't believe them. It doesn't mean they didn't have a right to, someone else didn't have a right to believe those things. They have a right to be wrong. They do. And I don't have to tear them apart to make myself right. I don't have to attack them to make myself right. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? You see, because just like that little girl was labeled, when we start attacking people, when we start using words on people, it leaves scars. It leaves our mark on people. And if you don't think, I can remember this, when my daughter did pageants, and she'd have 10 people tell her how beautiful she looked. And one person would say something negative about the way she looked. And what do you think she remembered?
The negative.
The negative, right? We all do. Somebody can tell you you've done a good job, and then somebody can say, well, you missed that spot. What? What do you mean I missed a spot? Negative words seem to tear at us, don't they? Because we all want to, there's something about us that makes us want to be pleasing to everybody, and we're not. We're not. We're never going to be. I'm never going to make everybody happy up here when I preach. It's never going to happen. I'm okay with that. It's never going to happen. I can look across this room and see 40 different people at different stages in their life, at different places in their faith life. And I know I'm not going to reach everybody with the same message every Sunday. But if it's what God told me to preach, that's all I need to know. Right?
Amen.
He does the rest. He works with you on the rest of it. But there's something about us that we want to please people. And so words do hurt us, and they leave scars. There was a boy who had a problem controlling his anger. And his father sought a way to help him control that, and the things that he would say. And he told the boy, he said, I want you to, here's a bucket of nails. And you see that fence right there? He said, every time that you lose your temper, I want you to go out there and drive a nail. The first day, the boy drove 37 nails. That's a lot of anger issues, isn't it? I know some people like that. But each day it got a little less. And it got a little less. And got a little less. So one day he didn't drive a single nail. And he was so proud of himself. And he went and told his dad, said, Dad, no nails. I didn't drive a single nail today. And his dad said, that's great. He said, you know what we ought to do? He said, every day you have a day like that, so we ought to go take one of those nails out of that fence. I said, okay. And so each day he'd go, he'd have a good day with no anger issues, he'd go pull a nail. And sure enough, weeks passed, and after a while, all the nails were gone. And he came in and said, Dad, look, no nails. All the nails are gone. His dad said, that is fantastic. He said, come here, I want to show you something. He said, okay. And he grabbed his hand, they walked out to the fence, and they walked along the fence. And he said, you see all those holes? He said, yeah. He said, that fence will never be the same. The fence has been damaged. Just like when we get mad and we say things. We do damage. We put holes in the fence. Holes that we can never fix. As much as we want to, and as many as I'm sorry's as we say, it doesn't fill the hole that's been created, does it? That's why it's important to choose your words wisely. That's why it's important to use words to build people up and not tear people down. It's okay to disagree. We're going to disagree. We all have opinions. I dare say most people in this room's opinions overlap somewhere, but are not in total agreement. Is that a pretty fair statement? So we're all going to find something to disagree on. Some of you might like my red tie. Some of you might not like my red tie. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's okay to have different opinions, right? You don't have to tear each other apart about it. I found that the best way to solve something like that, and when you get into an argument with somebody, it's quite simply this. Instead of trying to overpower them with your opinion, because that, I'm going to just tell you what, that never works. You'll never be able to overpower somebody with your opinion. You can outshout them. You can outtalk them. But you'll never change their mind by force-feeding your opinion. Because they have a thought process that went into their opinion. And you have a thought process that went into yours. So if you want to change theirs, then you need to find out what's wrong with their thought process. Right? This is just a little hint. This is free. I'm not even going to charge you for this. This is free advice. Here's the one question you ask them. You ready? Tell me more about that. Well, I believe this. Well, tell me more about that. And I'll tell you why. Because as you start to help them through that thought process, as they try to explain it to you, you're going to be able to show them what's wrong with the thought process. But that comes from what? Listening. God gave us 2 ears and a mouth for a reason. One mouth for a reason. Because we need to spend twice as much time listening as we do talking. If we do that, we'll be able to hear what other people are saying, right? And you may be right. You know what? You may be wrong. You may find that out through listening to their thought process as well. You might say, well, that makes perfect sense. I don't know why I've never thought about it that way. But take time to listen to what the other people have to say. Because you know what? It'll help you to choose your words wisely. Don't ever respond in anger. I've gone through life and I found that the snappy comebacks and the fast wit and don't always serve you well. Man, I'm going to tell you what, sometimes I have to sit on my hands when I'm on Facebook, not to type something out. People say stuff and I'm like, oh, don't do it. Oh, but I really want to, man, I can tear that up. Ooh, wow. And I sit there and I just like, sit on your hands. Don't do it. Go to the next page. Move on to something else. Don't respond. Because what you're going to say is not going to be glorifying God. And my number one job is to bring glory to God, is not to be right. So if I can't say something nice, then I just try not to say nothing at all. So I'm quiet a lot with that. There's a reason Pam talks more than I do in my house. So if I can't say something nice, I just a real quiet guy. Especially in election time. But because there's enough negativity out there in the world. The world doesn't need more negativity, does it? Does it? Does it need your negativity? Is the world going to be a better place with or without your negativity? You answer that question. Is God glorified with or without your negativity?
Without.
Is your job to glorify God or to glorify you? So in all that we do, in all that we say, that should be our attitude. Does this glorify God? Am I choosing my words wisely? Will I want to take this back in 5 minutes? I can win the battle but lose the war. And if I tear this person up, how can I ever, if I get on there and I articulate a great argument and I tear you to pieces, how can I ever witness Christ to you? Tell me that. Can I? Are you going to be receptive to me mentioning anything if you're a non-believer about Christ? If I get on there and I just rip you apart and rip you to shreds and humiliate you and make you look like a fool for what you've said, does that serve God at all? No. That serves me. And only me. And it's not about me. And it's not about you. Or you, or you, or you, or you. It's about serving an awesome God. A God that didn't create idiots. You know, the funny thing is I never see, in any of Jesus' encounters with people, I never see him tearing them down. Calling them names. Humiliating them. You don't see that. He gets angry. He gets mad, because that's a human emotion. And God's given you that. And that's okay. But if it doesn't glorify God, you say, well, he got mad, he turned the tables over in the thing. That's anger to glorify God. Because they were making a mockery of God's house. Because they were ripping people off. Because they were making it a den of thieves, as he said. He did it. And he was angry because they were defiling God's house. But not to bring glory to himself. Right? You know, when you talk about words, you talk about using them, there's not a lot of funnies, there's not a lot of ha-has. There's not a lot of jokes, there's not a lot of positives that you can say, other than what you can say. You see, as you go through this week, and you're going to encounter this election, and it's going to change the world. I know, probably none of us will be here next week. The world's going to end, I'm sure. Right? No.
Depends on where the hill is.
Depends on who wins, I guess. I don't know. I dare say that regardless of who wins, I'm going out on a branch here. I'm hoping I'm not going to cut. Regardless of who wins, next Sunday, the doors of this church will still be open. Right? That your schools are going to be open on Wednesday morning. That the businesses are going to be open. They're still going to sell gasoline and food, and we're going to have water and electricity. And life as we know it, for the most part, is going to go on. It may not go on in the direction that we want it to go, but it's going to go on, right? And if it's going to go on, and we got to share this planet with all these other people, at least half of them wrong, then we might as well get along, right? Don't let a bunch of politicians divide you. You generally like each other. They should not be, they're not worthy of dividing you. Let's put that in perspective. They're not worthy of having that much influence over your life. Let God decide your path, not a bunch of politicians. Regardless, I don't care. I care who wins, but regardless of who wins, don't let politicians decide who you are inside. You decide that. You let God direct your path, and it will be straight. You let God direct your words, and they will always be uplifting and encouraging and filled with hope and peace, because that's God's message. And most importantly, filled with love. And all God's people said, amen.